In the last episode we sailed the southern Marquesas islands and we enjoyed them very, very much. It is so unspoiled, there's not a lot of tourism, and we are so fortunate that we could sail this area.
The dynamic duo, well, is there. It's early in the morning, somewhere between 6 and 7. Inky and Jams are already leaving. The slack tide is at 10 AM according to the guesstimator.
Now we are crossing from Marquesas to Tuamotus, and from this moment on it's very important to time our arrival exactly at the right time, because these atolls, they have only small entrances, 1 or 2 per atoll. And there is a lot of current in the entrance and also a lot of waves. So it is best to arrive at slack tide. We departed early in the morning so that we will arrive 2 days later early in Raroia. It is just before slack tide, but at least we are there then in time, and then we can wait until the right moment to come in.
Just a couple of 100 meters before we reach the wind zone, so we can roll out the Jenica there. Just under 400 miles from here to the first Tuamotus we're aiming for, Raroia. It seems that there are only 250 people living there and a couple of thousand sharks. If we are too fast, which we probably are, we will just change for smaller sails approaching the atoll. Average speed so far 9.4, including the hour we went easy on the engines. Maar we gaan zelfs te lopen. 14 knopen. We have been above 10 knots almost all the time the last hour. He's doing really well. They lost the Jenica earlier today, and now they have their storm spinnaker symmetrical. That seems to be working really nice, as long as the true wind angle is not too high. Making the Wapu video. 300 miles to go. We're gonna roll in the Jenica within the hour. 9.8 on average today. But now we put the sail length on. How many knots slower? I think about 3 or 4
3
even?
or 4. Depends. No, I think 3.
Everybody's in night mode. 3 Solents and 1 Genoa. Well, we didn't change back to the Gennaker as we have squalls in front of us and behind us. And this is the squall behind us. It's passing behind us. And the squall in front of us is passing in front of us. Not a lot of wind this morning. And Inky Blue just called and they have even less. They had only 5 knots. I'm just passing the Disappointment Islands. It's not a very inviting name. So now we can fly the Gennaker again. There are no water atolls we can hit along our way to Raroia. The 9th of May, and we arrived at our first Tuamotus atol. And it's Thomas' birthday today. Raroia is baking several cakes for Thomas.
So even though we took down the Gennaker for the night and only sailed on the full main and the Solent, we were a little bit too early at the pass. But when we checked out the entrance, it felt completely good to just go in. Of course, there was current, but not something that we couldn't handle.
We're only on the mainsail and we tried to slow down before we are at the pass.
We just passed the entrance and I think we have to go in like there, and it seems pretty quiet. So we're just going in. It is 1.5 hours before high tide. So now we're first going to drop the mainsail. We are going against the wind and then we go slowly in and then we will see.
So this is our very first pass into an atol. We never did this before. Our Raroia and jams are there as well.
Invited to the party. Hey, you are invited to the party. Hey, you are invited to the party.
Dinner on Greatcircle.
Dinner on Greatcircle.
So I think we are not going to starve to death. I just heard over the radio that Jams made cake as well. So.
Our first anchoring maneuver in the Tuamotus was a little bit of a challenge because there are so many bummies in the sand. The anchor chain gets stuck very easily. We tried several places. We were optimistic that maybe there was an area where there was a lot of sand, but there wasn't. Finally, we anchored just north of the pier. Because Inky had no gennaker, they were a little bit later and they had more current and more waves than we had in the end. So I think we checked our arrival at the right timing.
And there's Inky as well. They went through 4 knots of current.
We just all bought buoys to keep the anchor chain in the air.
Just take it home and fry it. Yeah, just fry it. A few stones and carrots. Thanks everyone. Yeah, it's really nicely made.
Yeah!
Bring your dad out. Hey Dad, look, I've got a new tag.
I'm so badass now. Always especially with the hat.
Pak hem, pak hem!
Nou, die naaiman. Ja, dat is niet leuk voor de shirt. Dit is het famous last word.
Hey, check eerst eens even het anker, man! Wat een grote haai. Ik denk het wel.
De lokale man heeft gezegd dat er veel vislijnen liggen aan de rechterkant.
Going to the other side of the atoll is a bit of a challenge because the maps that we have are not correct. There are pieces of coral and shallower areas everywhere. But luckily, even with the bad weather that we had at that moment, you can see them very well. And we all followed Jams because they had a route from somebody else who did it.
Silence is a reason, it's what you know. Moving all around me, taking time to live. Silence is a reason, it's where you go, 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 go.
In comparison to the Marquesas, the Tuamotus are completely different. On land, you can't make these interesting hikes that we did on the Marquesas, but underwater it is absolutely amazing.
We're in Raroia, on the other side of the atol.
So out of time, things they move this way. Gone out of line, you never have to stay.
Yeah, there was one next to your boat when you went into the water. Oh, just here.
Oh, okay.
It's where you go.
In the next episode, we're going to visit some more atolls in the Tuamotus and have some more interesting adventures.